I want to talk about the year to live, and I said, the beginning of this new year, I got in touch with Stephen Levine's year to live process, and I'm actually, with all the health stuff I'm doing and this new health Gary Knoll regimen that I'm protocol, I'm increasing my lifespan, so I don't want people to think I'm putting that in my brain, because every time I eat, I'm going, wow, I'm adding, 10 years to my life. However, I've realized that much of my life, and a lot of people that, as I start talking to them, they still have this immortal kind of mindset. Does that make sense? They're interacting with people they love as if, we have forever. They're wasting time as if we had forever and all. But I kind of thought, Aaron, if you had a year to live, what would you be doing differently? Because or what would you be doing? If I'm your doctor and said, Aaron, and granted, you and I know there's solutions, but just, what do you think about that?
Well, I would definitely do everything I'm already doing right now. Yeah, but I'd probably just do more of it. What's important to me is that there's so many things going on in this world right now that are just screwed up. Everything from the world of energy and oil to pharmaceuticals to, you name it, control of our food supply, putting out nothing but pure unadulterated garbage in grocery stores and calling it food. People just don't know what they're eating anymore. They don't know how they're living. They don't know anything except what's been force-fed to them. So some of my main passions are definitely the energy, the healing, agricultural technologies, and mind expansion to wake people up. And so if I had a year to live, it would be focused on those areas right there. Everything that I commit my time to these days revolves around that. There's friends and family that I care about, that I love, and there's, no way that I could live my life knowing that if I'm gone, that I didn't do everything possible to make sure that people that I care about are not going to turn into oil empire slaves for the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. Pharmaceutical slaves, all these, corporate takeovers and everything else, our food supply and everything else. Those are my passions, and that's what I would focus on. I like the theory and coming up with the ideas, and I like designing systems and methodologies on doing things. The way that I live my life right now is just every day I just go and go. I give myself time off, so when I wake up I can either work or I can play or do whatever, but even when I play it's fun, but it's all the serious stuff to me, like machining these parts for a little jet engine and doing these ignition tests and stuff like this. I want to be able to see people get empowered, and I don't know, 1 year is really not that much time, but for some people that's an entire lifetime. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, my intention with this is to really inspire people, and that is, I really feel like you are a model for that. So, you've got a couple of other books that the Mind Power one and the Quantum Key. Do you want to share anything about that, or maybe leave people with some insights or tools, or?
And I guess to answer your original question is I don't exactly know what I would do if I had a year to live, because I'm not in that situation. But I know it would be dedicated to working on those things, and spending more quality time with friends and family and that kind of stuff, which I do, but not as much as if I had a year to live, I guess. But so I like to do things that I definitely believe in. Yeah, the other books, the Quantum Key, it's basically just there's concepts of a unified field. You hear all these New Age gurus and stuff talk about quantum this and that, and consciousness and everything. And then from the quantum world, there's, like gravity on the planetary scale. How does a star and a planet gravitate towards each other, and, that kind of thing. And so what fills in the gap, what seamlessly connects the small quantum world at the subatomic level up to grand scale stuff that we can look, see, and touch, right? And so that book basically gives a walkthrough in simple terms, simple concepts and analogies and diagrams that anybody can understand, that shows at least a model that I'm putting forward on what does connect all those to make it seamless, right? Because you have all these different sciences out there, in the health care world, and energy science and physics and psychology and this mind stuff out there. and the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, and there's nothing that connects them together because they've been compartmentalized and broken down so much, right? That contradicts this. This concept contradicts this. They're both taught, yet they contradict each other. And so, you know, one thing I like to do is develop a model, see what kind of comes and what makes sense, to where you can take out those contradictions because you actually find something that you can put your finger on and say, this connects to that. So, you know, when people read the quantum key, they can see what I mentioned about non-equilibrium systems. You know, how does a bank account, how can you put money into an investment and wind up with more than what you put into it? That violates the laws of physics, right? Because you're winding up with more than what you started with. And I'm like, well, that's an investment. That's not to do with physics. But look, you got to look at nature. How do you put a seed into the ground, give it some water, walk away, come back, you know, a year later, and you got this tree? You didn't have to put that potential into it. You put this much in, but you wound up with that much wood and leaves and everything else, right? Because nature had input into it. And so it's really kind of a paradigm-changing concept for the average person to be able to understand what is an open system, what is open system thermodynamics, what are those non-equilibrium systems that govern nature. But everything that they build, everything they teach in school is based on closed systems. The electric motors that they make, all these energy technologies, most of them are stuck in the paradigm that there is no abundance in this universe and that everything is a closed circuit. That's where the poverty consciousness comes from, that we're depletion and we're running out of resources and all this kind of stuff. It's brainwashing garbage, and it has nothing to do with reality whatsoever.
I've seen you pull energy out of all kinds of things. I've come here and you've shown me gizmos and gadgets, and I'm like, whoa, I'm just blown away.
You know, the way that some of these little electromagnetic motors and stuff work is because they're basically operating how a human being interacts with the universe. You know,
and tell us about the other one?
A Course in Mind Power. It's kind of a walkthrough on giving a foundation so people can actually become empowered instead of being hooked on the next guru and the next book and everything else. It's showing what is some of the foundation and the fundamental basis of synchronicity, consciousness, and our interaction from the subconscious mind into the collective. How can we hook onto certain data in the collective, download it, and become consciously aware of it? There's so many so-called natural psychics and this and that, and they may be receiving stuff, but how do you clear your own imagination from turning information from the collective into something? Everybody is putting it through their filters, right? But what if you can clear these filters so that when you get information from the collective, you see it for what it is instead of what your mind is turning it into, right?
Whoa.
It's a very powerful distinction. It's powerful for anybody in business and relationships and anything to really develop and to clear that.
Always telling ourselves stories.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
See, and it's okay to have the stories, but when you can look at something and you can distinguish the difference between this is my story and this is the information I'm perceiving from the collective. And there's very few things out there that address that. Because they make it look like it's inevitable and you can't do anything about it. It's all garbage. You can. They give a few tools, enough to where somebody can get impressed with themselves for a certain period of time. Then after that, it's on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, because they never saw what's the mechanics behind the foundation of it.
So we're going to put information about you in the comments below and in the video, and I'm sorry to cut you short, but you rock.
One morning I woke up and I knew it all. A new day, a new way, and new I